I have hit that stage in parenting where my children are rather embarrassed when I am singing in the car, especially in public. Look, when they were little, I wrote them a lot of different songs, to learn like different things, to maybe teach or something. And I've written another one recently. And so when they say they're bored, it's either, distract them with a scavenger hunt, or I do something like, you never can be bored with a book. You never can be bored with a book. Open up the pages and take a look. You never can be bored with a book. And then you just keep going. And I get the eye roll. I love it. I love it, but it's the truth. You never can be bored with a book, unless it's a really bad book. But you know what? I do encourage reading. We need to be able to read. It is important to be able to read. And I'm trying to encourage my girls to really see that. And so I really want them to see you never can be bored with a book. Hi, and welcome to Learning Life. And thank you so much for joining me today. As an avid reader, I'm often found with a book. I've always been this way. You could find me in the library, at school. It really was my safe place. It was filled with so many paperback friends. I went there because I just needed to read or to get away. Didn't know back then I was an introvert, and this is what I needed. I loved the readathons that we had. I dominated any goal I set for myself. I loved in early primary when we had dear, drop everything and read. This is great. We also had USSR, unsustained silent reading, something or other. It's okay, we dropped that one and we just went with dear. But, this to me is just, it's part of who I am, but it's also my heart that my girls would love to read. I know I cannot force them to love it. I really can't, but I can model it. What's mom doing? Look, mommy's reading. I love to read. This is a great book. I can't wait for you to be able to read it, but I want them to see this wonder of reading. And I really want to make sure that they have access to a wide variety of books and other reading material because, we're in a day and age where it's so easy to watch videos. Now, I do love videos too because we can learn so much from them. So thank you for watching, for your likes, your subscribes, and your comments. But yes, while we can learn from videos, we really also need to be able to read and what we can read from there. It's truly, truly amazing. I want to share something that we did recently in my desire to provide the girls opportunities for them to read, for them to work towards a goal. 1,000 minutes of reading. I have mentioned several times that we are doing the 1,000 hours outside challenge, doing it again this year. And it really got me thinking about that sort of model, where we can take a time and set it to it. So we set 1,000 minutes of reading, not 1,000 hours. Then maybe one day we will get there, or 1,000 books, whatever it is that you want to do. But because of their age, we started with 1,000 minutes. And the prize for them was a new set of rollerblades upon completing the challenge. They really wanted them. I weighed up the cost and looked at it and I said, hey, what if you did 1,000 minutes, you could earn your rollerblades? Now, it might sound overwhelming, but when you break it down, it's really 30 minutes a day for 34 days. So not bad, right? If you read 5 days a week, 30 minutes, 5 days a week, you can reach the goal in just under 7 weeks. And that's what we set out, and I just said that as an encouragement. If you read 30 minutes, 5 days a week, you can reach your goal in just under 7 weeks. And I thought that was something that was really worthwhile for them. And they did it. The prize was definitely a boon, did help the attitudes. It did take longer than 7 weeks. And I was totally fine with that. It was up to them. I wasn't going to push them to do it. It was their goal. But we also did have the twin competition, which can sometimes be a good thing. So one would say, well, I'm going to read for 30 minutes. And then the other would be like, oh, if she's reading, then I have to read. I'm like, you don't have to read. If she wants to get it, remember, she could get her rollerblades before you. Totally okay. So we did have that. It was actually pretty good. But I did ask the girls for their reviews of the challenge. Like, did they like it? Didn't they? Did they feel that they had learned anything from it? Did their reading improve? And so you can also see the personalities of my girls and their view of reading in their responses. One of them said, I really didn't like that I had to read every day, but it was okay. And it was said like that. I liked the prize, of course. It helped my reading to get better by the amount of my little toe. I don't want Mummy to do this again. Yes, she's my reluctant reader at the moment, hoping it might change. The other one said, I liked it and it was fun. It was worth it because we got our rollerblades and my reading did get better and I found some new books that I really like. I was encouraged with that. I really do recommend this as a great way of getting into like the routine of reading, like setting this goal, having that reward. Now, I didn't push for 30 minutes a day, but it's usually what they settled into, but they would break it down. So we'd sort of have 2 15-minute sessions. I was fine with that. They could have done 3 10 minutes. I really didn't care as long as we had some regular reading. And then we found that from that, when we were getting into that routine, it was easier to help keep going with that. Now we have moved on to something different, and I pay $1 for every chapter book they read. It's up to them. I haven't really told them that some chapter books are thicker and some are thinner, but they still get $1, like no matter what, when they read a chapter book and then tell me about it. So they can't just skim through it. And so that's been a motivation for them as we keep up this routine. I want to reward them for that because reading is important to me. They don't get paid for chores around the house. They get paid to read. Other reading challenges. So what are some other challenges that we could set our children to encourage reading? Here are 9 suggestions. So a readathon. Maybe you've done that at school. You're setting a goal for a specific period. Maybe it's a week, maybe it's a month. You're going to challenge them to read as many books, or maybe you want to do as many pages, depends on how you want to add that up, as possible within that time frame. Maybe you're going to have a genre challenge. So you're going to explore different genres by challenging them to read books from various categories. And so maybe you could do it as they pick one particular genre, or they've got different genres, so mystery, fantasy, historical fiction, nonfiction, and they have to mark off each genre that they read, or a set number of books. So if they want to do mystery, they have to do 10 mystery books. They want to do nonfiction, these books. This is really great for older children to really get them to explore the different genre that are out there. You could have a book series challenge. So pick a specific book series and read all the books within that. This really can motivate because you sort of find out what happens next. You're left with a cliffhanger and we want to move on. There are some great series out there. I still love like the Percy Jackson books. There's the Harry Potter books, Dogman, Anne of Green Gables. There are just so many great series, and it's really wonderful to be able to read like all of them. So this is a really great one because you can start younger when we've got like the easier sort of very basic like chapter books and moving up. You could do reading bingo. So you create your bingo card with your different prompts or challenges. Maybe it's like read a book with a blue cover, or read a book that takes a place in a different country, whatever it is that you want, and they check off their squares so they complete 5 in a row, whether across, whether down, or diagonally. If you wanted it a bit easier, you could do 4 in a row. But this is also just a really fun way of getting that bingo. And clever kids work out, well, I can get by just 5 if I do it that way. A reading passport. I like this one. You create a reading passport. Looks like your real passport. You can put a photo in it and everything. And you're going to have like different countries in there, or different, maybe locations, but countries are best because it's a passport. And you want to read a book that is set in like each country. So they can travel from one country to another as they read those books. So you go to Australia, kids could read Possum Magic. We could go to other places. If you go to Germany, we could read like a book that's been translated into English, like The Neverending Story. This can be really fun, and they can like have a stamp or something as they read a book that is set in another country. You could have a buddy reading challenge. So sort of think like book club for grown-ups, but we're just paring it down to a buddy. So your kid will have, maybe it's a sibling, maybe it's a friend. Usually keep them around the same age, and you challenge them to read the same book, and then they discuss their thoughts about that book together. This is great, and it's often good to be sort of like outside of the family, and we don't want it to be like just, mom is your reading buddy, because we're going to do that. But when you've got like that peer-to-peer and they can talk about it, this is really fun. A read and watch challenge. So you're going to read a book and then watch the movie or the television adaptation of that book. So Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Charlotte's Web, Beezus and Ramona. Like, we've got so many like sort of great books out there. I do this with the girls, and they actually really love it. We read the chapter book and then we watch like the movie, and we discuss what is similar and what is different. Like, what did they do differently in the movie that's not in the book? And this is a great way of really looking at adaptations and how we can take a story and make it into something else. But that one's a fun read and watch. You could have a diversity challenge. So we are going to read books from different backgrounds, cultures, and perspectives. For some people, this might be, and remember, you don't have to do all of these challenges, but I think that this is a good one because it does promote inclusivity. It helps to broaden like an understanding of the world. People think differently. And this is great. I think this is a really great one for older kids, but you really can start with any age. There are many picture books that are teaching diversity beautifully. And this is what we want. Can we think about, maybe a child? There's some books out there about children who've been raised in war-torn areas. So if we read that, what does this mean? Their life is different to mine. They're over here in this country, they eat this for breakfast. We don't. We can see that, or just looking at some of those diverse things that we need to be looking at. And then there's the alphabet reading challenge. So you want to read a book that starts with each letter of the alphabet. You can do this with picture books. You can do this with chapter books. And you create a list to keep track of your progress because you want to try and get the entire alphabet. Some letters are going to be harder than some. I know X is harder, but the X-Men comics, you could read those because comics is still reading. Okay, we don't have to always limit it to just books. Don't forget graphic novels, comics, that is good as well. So there's 9 challenges plus the 1,000 minutes reading. So 10 great challenges that you could be doing. And so you want to tailor it based to your child. Like, what are their interests, their reading levels? We do want to make sure that they're reading where they're at and then building up. Even if they are only improving the amount of their little toe, we're dramatic in our family, you do want to offer like incentives or rewards. I know for me, my reward is I get a bit of time to myself and hopefully some silence. But there's other things. You want to celebrate the milestones. Hey, we've moved up. Look at the books that you're reading now, because we want them to be motivated. We want them to be excited, and we do want them to progress in their reading. So I would love it if you think, we could do that 1,000-minute reading challenge. Like, I think this is great. Like, it's a really good way to start. It's about 7 weeks worth of stuff. Let's say 2 months. What a great way of getting into it. If you do it, tag me like in a post. On Instagram, it's LearningThis.Life. In Facebook, I have Learning Life. I would love to see like the books that your kids are reading. Hey, look, we're doing 1,000 minutes. Like, here's the books, or your progress chart. To me, these are just really wonderful things to see and to encourage, because it's also a great way of finding out like some different books. Because, I hadn't seen that book before. Maybe my child would like to read it. So we can really encourage each other, each family, and our kids in their reading. Well, I do want to thank you so much for watching today and for being part of this Learning Life. Don't forget that we are wrapping up the giveaway like tomorrow if you're watching this on Thursday. So if you haven't seen the scavenger hunt video, go and check out and find out what you need to do in order to be entered into that giveaway. And we will announce the winner next week. And if you want to help get these videos out there, you can do that by becoming a champion. And you can check that out at patreon.com or at my website, LearningThis.Life.